In the dim glow of the ultrasound room, Sarah clutched her husband's hand so tightly that her knuckles turned white. The technician's wand glided over her swollen belly, and the screen flickered to life with the familiar whoosh of heartbeats. Twins, the doctor had said earlier, based on her blood work and initial scans. But as the image sharpened, the doctor's face paled. "Wait, this isn't twins," he murmured, zooming in closer. Sarah's heart plummeted. What could be wrong? Then, with a voice laced with awe, he pointed to the screen. "Mrs. Thompson, you're carrying quadruplets. For healthy babies. This is incredible." Sarah Thompson had always dreamed of a big family, but life had a way of throwing curveballs that tested even the strongest dreams. At 32, she was a high school teacher in a small Midwestern town, married to her high school sweetheart, Mark, who worked as a mechanic. They had one child already, little Emma, their rambunctious 5-year-old with curly hair and a laugh that could light up the darkest day. After years of trying for a second baby, including 2 heartbreaking miscarriages, Sarah had finally gotten the positive pregnancy test. The joy was overwhelming, but so was the fear. What if it happens again? She'd whispered to Mark in the quiet of their bedroom, tears streaming down her face. He held her close, promising they'd face whatever came together. The early months were a blur of morning sickness and cautious optimism. Sarah's belly grew faster than expected, and at her 12-week appointment, the doctor suggested twins. "Your HCG levels are off the charts," he explained with a smile. Sarah and Mark celebrated that night with Emma, imagining 2 new siblings chasing her around the backyard. They started planning, converting the guest room into a nursery, budgeting for double the diapers, even picking out names. Noah and Lily if they were a boy and girl. But deep down, Sarah felt a nagging unease. Her body ached more than it should, and exhaustion hit her like a freight train. "It's just twins," Mark reassured her, rubbing her feet after long days. "We'll manage." Then came the 20-week anatomy scan, the one that changed everything. As the doctor revealed the quadruplets, for tiny hearts beating in unison, Sarah's world spun. Joy collided with terror. Quadruplets? How? The odds were 1 in 700,000. The doctor explained it was a spontaneous occurrence, no fertility drugs involved, a true medical marvel. But the risks were staggering. Preterm labor, gestational diabetes, preeclampsia. "We'll need to monitor you closely," he said gently. "This pregnancy is high risk from here on out." Sarah nodded numbly, her mind racing. How would they afford this? Their modest home, their single income stretched thin. 4 babies meant cribs, car seats, formula, medical bills that could bankrupt them. The challenges began almost immediately. Sarah was placed on bed rest at 24 weeks when contractions threatened early labor. Confined to the couch, she watched Emma play alone, guilt gnawing at her. "Mommy, why can't you come outside?" Emma asked one rainy afternoon, her big eyes filled with confusion. Sarah pulled her close, fighting back tears. "Mommy has to keep your brothers and sisters safe inside," she explained, but inside, she felt like a failure. Mark picked up extra shifts at the garage, coming home bone-tired, grease under his nails, only to cook dinner and bathe Emma. Their marriage, once a rock, started showing cracks. Late-night arguments erupted over finances. "We can't even afford the hospital stay," Mark snapped one evening, slamming a bill on the table. Sarah sobbed, feeling the weight of it all. What if I lose them? What if I'm not strong enough? Community support trickled in at first. Neighbors organized a meal train, and Sarah's colleagues at school set up a fundraiser. But the emotional toll was relentless. Sarah battled anxiety attacks, waking in the night convinced something was wrong. One particularly bad episode landed her in the ER, where monitors confirmed the babies were fine, but her blood pressure was spiking. The doctor prescribed medication and therapy sessions, which Mark drove her to despite his exhaustion. In those sessions, Sarah opened up about her fears. The miscarriages had left scars, making her question if she deserved this miracle. "Why me?" she asked the therapist. "Why give me 4 when I couldn't even keep 1 before?" The therapist helped her reframe it. "This is your story of resilience, Sarah. Lean on your love." As weeks turned into months, more hurdles arose. At 28 weeks, an ultrasound revealed one baby, tiny Amelia, was smaller than the others, a sign of intrauterine growth restriction. The doctors discussed selective reduction, a heartbreaking option to save the stronger ones. but Sarah refused. "They're all mine," she whispered fiercely to Mark. Instead, they opted for closer monitoring and steroid shots to mature the baby's lungs. Mark, seeing his wife's determination, found renewed strength. He reached out to online support groups for parents of multiples, connecting with families who'd been through similar ordeals. One couple even donated gently used baby gear, shipping it across states. "You're not alone," their note read. And for the first time in weeks, Sarah felt a spark of hope. Financially, the strain peaked when Mark's truck broke down, forcing him to borrow money from his parents. Pride stung, but he swallowed it for his family. Sarah, from her bed, started a blog about her journey, sharing raw updates on social media. To her surprise, it went viral. A local news station picked up the story, dubbing her the Quad Mom Miracle. Donations poured in through a GoFundMe page, easing the burden. But the real breakthrough came from within. Sarah and Mark recommitted to each other, scheduling date nights on the couch with takeout and old movies. Emma, sensing the tension, drew pictures of her future siblings, taping them to Sarah's belly. "They can hear me, right?" she'd ask, pressing her ear close. Those moments reminded Sarah why they were fighting. The climax came at 32 weeks. Sarah woke to sharp pains and fluid trickling down her legs. Her water had broken. Panic set in as Mark rushed her to the hospital. "It's too soon," she cried in the car, clutching her belly. The NICU team was ready, but the delivery was chaos. An emergency C-section under bright lights, monitors beeping wildly. Mark held her hand, his voice steady despite the fear in his eyes. "You've got this, love. We're bringing them home." One by one, the babies arrived. First Noah, strong and crying. Then Lily, feisty and alert. Amelia, tiny but fierce. And finally, little Jack, the surprise who completed their quartet. The NICU days were a blur of incubators, tubes, and beeps. Each baby faced their own battles. Noah with jaundice, Lily with breathing issues, Amelia needing extra nutrition, Jack fighting an infection. Sarah pumped milk around the clock, her body aching from surgery, but she visited daily, singing lullabies through the glass. Mark juggled work, Emma, and hospital runs, collapsing into bed each night. The challenges tested their limits. Sleep deprivation led to short tempers, and one night, Mark broke down in the NICU chapel. "I don't know if I can do this," he admitted to Sarah over the phone. She, drawing from her own depths, replied, "We already are. Look at our fighters." Slowly, resolutions emerged. The babies grew stronger, one by one graduating from the NICU. Community rallied again. Volunteers babysat Emma. Friends delivered groceries. Sarah's blog followers sent cards and gifts, turning strangers into a virtual family. By the time they brought the quads home at 8 weeks old, the Thompsons had transformed. Their house buzzed with cries and coos, a beautiful chaos. Sarah, holding all four in a rare, quiet moment, marveled at their miracle. The challenges had forged unbreakable bonds. Mark became more present, Emma a helpful big sister, and Sarah discovered a strength she never knew. Years later, as the quads toddled around the yard with Emma leading the charge, Sarah reflected on that ultrasound day. Life wasn't perfect, sleepless nights lingered, budgets stayed tight, but the love overflowed. They'd faced loss, fear, and uncertainty, resolving each with grace, support, and unyielding kindness from others. It taught them that miracles aren't just in the extraordinary, they're in the everyday acts of holding on. And so, dear readers, or should I say viewers, this story of Sarah and her incredible family reminds us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, kindness and perseverance light the way. Miracles happen when we open our hearts to help and be helped. If this tale touched you, please drop a comment below sharing your own story of unexpected blessings or challenges overcome. What miracle have you witnessed in your life? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more inspiring stories on my channel.